we start with, I think, the best news of any Kool-Aid summer, right? As impassioned it was, we're sorry for Emerson. We're sorry for former Barcelona player Neymar, but Argentina has won the Copa America. And you said it was your favorite competition, the one that you look forward to more than a Euro. And I think it's the result that everybody wanted.
Yeah, and it's like the fun thing about it is I, in particular, am not really a fan of football players. There are football players that I like, but even the ones that I really like, for example, I love Dembele as a player, and he looks like a nice guy to me. I could care less if he does well for France or not. I only care when he plays for Barcelona. And it's the same for Iniesta, who is, in my eyes, the greatest midfielder of all time. And he's just a Don. I could care less what Iniesta wins or loses with Spain. I just care when he plays for Barcelona. I could care less now that he plays in, what is it,
Japan, yeah.
Fidel.
Provincial
Um,
Kobe, yeah.
Thank you. I don't really care. I hope his life is okay, but I only care when he plays for Barcelona. But with Messi, there's just so much heartbreak
Yeah.
of him getting so close, and all the idiots in the world who try to disparage him because he does not win it with Argentina. That is just very nice to see him win for Argentina, and I was really rooting for him.
Yeah, you could tell that the teammates were, that so many fans around the world, even opposition was happy for him to finally get over that, because you could tell that he's done everything he could for club football. And I know it's hard to understand Barcelona in this context, but if Messi doesn't ever win that other Champions League, if he doesn't ever even win that other La Liga trophy, he's done so much winning at Barcelona already. That's more trophies than anyone could possibly imagine for a club career. So everything that was missing was all of that. And then you take the weight of Diego Maradona passing in the last year. Again, you take the lofty comparisons, not only to Maradona, but Pele, to Socrates, to all of the great Brazilian and Argentine and South American players that changed football the way it is. And when we're talking about England, Italy, and what that match kind of means and the historic sense of football. But while England and Italy take credit and feel like they're the ones who created the game and took it to different places, the game of football, once it got to South America, they did something to it that turned it into, as the very cliche term goes, they turned it into a religion. And so that is why Messi is considered this, they always say, the Dios 10, that he is this deity, is this thing that rose above, because it means so much to so many people. And I do want to kind of take the step back from that, in that for Messi, being a captain, he's a captain of Barcelona, sure. And for us, as being Kool-Aids, we watched the heartbreak of all those championship nights, or Champions League nights, rather. We watched all those just near misses for Barcelona lately, and then for Argentina, whether it was 2015, 2016 Copa finals, whether it was a 2014 World Cup final. There's all these moments when Messi was just this close. And of course, as we defend him to our dying breath, there's all those detractors. But Messi, the captain, finally got over it. And the last thing before you take over again, Levon, is that this is only Brazil's second loss ever at the Maracanã after the 1950 World Cup final against Uruguay. Brazil had never lost the Copa at home since the start of the tournament in 2016. So I know that, obviously England's pundits were talking about England at Wembley, and Wembley is this sacred place, but it's not. The Maracanã is. And so for Argentina to beat Brazil at the Maracanã in that fashion, 1-0, the way they did, I know that you think the match was ugly, and it was ugly. It was not a pretty match, but it was. I still felt it was befitting of a final. There still felt like there was a glory and a reverence to that match that was befitting of a final.
Yes, that's true. However, it is kind of painful to see how much South American football has declined in the last, say, 15, let's say 15 years. I was having this discussion earlier on Twitter as well. But to go from, let's see, 1958 Brazil, 1962 Brazil, then England, then 1970 Brazil, Germany, 1978 Argentina, 82 Germany, 86 Argentina, 1990 Germany, 94 Brazil, 98
France.
France, but even then you had a Brazil side that was better than France. It's just that they had
Yeah.
this huge crisis with Ronaldo right before the final where he swallowed his tongue or something. 2002 Brazil. After that, the last 2006, you still had a very beautiful Argentina side.
But Brazil,
Um,
that was the worst Brazil side ever, I think, in 2006.
I think, but the players were still very good in
Right.
2006. It's just that they were overconfident and they did not prepare well. So it's not like where all of a sudden now you see the collections of players are just not that good anymore as previously. So when you see a final where Argentina, frankly, their defenders keep giving the ball away in their own half because they don't know how to pass the ball, and Brazil keeps taking the ball in the opponent's half, but are too poor to actually create a scoring opportunity or even get a decent half look at goal. That's just embarrassing. So as epic as the win was, um, and as happy as I am for Messi, I'm also kind of worried about where this is going and why these amazing football countries are not really going anywhere with their football, whereas in Europe, even like France, Switzerland, you see phases of the game where France is not poor, but Switzerland plays so well together that they impress. Um, Austria against Italy, where Italy is not poor, but Austria still impresses. And then, of course, you have matches like Spain, Italy, or even the final that we just watched, where the football is so much better from what we see in the Copa America. And for me, it makes me a little bit sad because I love South American football.
Well, I think national teams are judged by two different metrics, and I think we can pick between the two depending on whether we want to be positive or negative about a certain national side at any time. So I think every national side is made up. Obviously, they can be judged on, and this is from the American view that, I've been waiting my entire life to see players playing for the U.S. men's national team from Chelsea and Borussia Dortmund and all the FC Barcelona, for gosh sake. So I've been waiting my whole life to see these individual players being able to play for the men's national team to say that there's a status that comes with that. And then
Mhm.
look at even Belgium with their golden generations of Lukaku and De Bruyne, and then obviously for Denmark they had 1992, but then they had this one where you try to pick the best player there, and I mean it was Damsgaard, who is a player for Sampdoria that nobody had heard of before that, other than like real nerds like me who are on Transfermarkt at 2 a.m. Like we're the only
Right.
ones who really knew who Mikel Damsgaard was going into that tournament. And now he's this household name after a penalty kick. After a free kick against England. And so you can look at it through the scope of the individual players, because you're correct on the likes of whether it's Peru. Peru is probably the big one I think of, where, I mean, they don't have anybody really playing at any bit of a high level on any major team at any time. And then you even think of Venezuela with Valencia for so long for Manchester United, right? That he was almost the bailout for
He's from Ecuador.
or Ecuador. I'm so sorry. Yeah. There we go. So Valencia playing for Ecuador, and I'm not thinking of Enner Valencia, aren't I? No, even he. No, I'm thinking of Joseph Martinez, who plays anyway. Okay, here we are. So there.
I I taught English to Joseph Martinez.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see. These are stories for not the podcast. These are stories for us for potential bonus content someday. But anyway, the point is that Peru winds up being a sum of its parts at times, and then when they have a bunch of players in Europe, where they have had, I believe, what was it, in the middle of the 2000s, when they had a few players at least who were playing in Serie A or in the Premier League, then it was this collection of talent then. So I think there's a difference between individual players creating this mythos around a team that feels like they should have that proper collection of talent. And then you have those teams like even Hungary, who without their best player because he was injured out for the tournament from RB Leipzig. Sabala. So there we go. All right, somebody Google it. But anyway, so he's out. Their best player for the tournament is out for the tournament, and Hungary has had now for the second straight tournament their best run of form since the 1950s. So Hungary, you can barely find a top quality player because again, their best player wasn't even there, and the next best player plays for Bologna in Serie A, and something like that, right? And their collection of that talent. So when Hungary does well, in the same way that Denmark did well after Eriksson went down, you say, oh, that's a collection of talent and a credit to the project of that national team. But then when the South American teams who don't really succeed in that Peru and even Chile at the moment, as at the end of their golden generation, Chile is about to get into a dip. And if they're not the sum of their parts because they don't have the talent anymore, then we're going to be critical of them. So I think it depends on how you want to look at it, because even Argentina, I mean, this Argentina squad, Angel Di Maria scores the goal. He missed 2014 final and the 2015-16 finals, all due to injury. Rodrigo de Paul is now looking like a genius move by Atletico Madrid for 35 million euros. Emiliano Martinez was an afterthought from Arsenal, and then he winds up being the starting goalkeeper of Aston Villa. But obviously that penalty kick in the semifinal against Colombia is going to be his career highlight forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, no matter what he does in the Premier League. And then Nicolas Otamendi, he was a Manchester City player for a long time, and this was his best international performance, this tournament, I mean. And now he's 33 years old. He's washed up playing for Benfica, and yet he finally is the best version of himself he's ever been at international.
Right.
Play. And even
and who are the fullbacks?
Well, yeah. So on one side, it's Tagliafico and Acuna. Acuna plays for Sevilla. And the way that Guido Rodriguez plays for Real Betis, they're good La Liga players playing for bigger La Liga sides, but they're not superstars by any means. The one exception is Gonzalo Montiel, who plays for River Plate, 24 years old. He looked like he was out of his depth, but yet in that final, he comes off, not even comes off, but he plays the game muddy and bloodied, and he looks like he played South American football proper the way you're supposed to. And he was really the only name that, in theory, is out of his depth at that level in the Copa final for Argentina. But all that said, their individual players are pretty talented on their own. And you could argue that this is maybe the most individually talented Argentina side that we've seen. But when it comes to cup finals, not to contradict everything I've just said, but when it comes to cup finals, it's about showing up and taking care of business. And that's what Argentina did. That's all you have to do in a final, is you just have to get it over the line and win that trophy. And Messi carried them with 4 goals, 5 assists in the tournament. Messi carried Argentina to the final, and they had enough talent to just get over the line. And that's all you need to do to get that trophy.
I just had the feeling that they were trying to, especially in the first half, but then at some point in the second half, Brazil stopped believing, I think. But in the first half, it's almost as if the defenders were trying to lose the game. And I really looked at the game and I said, well, if I'm Tite, what I will do is, if I have the ball, I'm just going to give it to Argentina.
I mean, I want to
and they will shoot themselves in the foot, giving the ball like 30 meters from their goal again and again and again and again, because Argentina is actually going to create better scoring opportunities for myself than my team can create for itself. That was the feeling I had. What I do think is interesting is that Messi carried them to the final, which he always does. Then in the final, Messi is not at his best, which has usually happened for him for Argentina. Let's be honest.
No, he was average. He was absolutely pedestrian, including the 88th minute when he dribbles right into Ederson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think it was maybe in the 70th minute when he had the ball in the edge of the box. He had Di Maria right open to his right, but he decides to dribble it, and then ends up like just dribbling himself into trouble instead of giving it to Di Maria, who had a clear path to goal. I also heard that I think their coach said that he played injured with hamstring issues. So that explains it. I just think it's very nice and it's very heartwarming that even though I don't think they played well, they fought so hard.
Yeah.
They really gave it their all. They left their souls out on that pitch, and in that sense, it was a very epic victory. And also to see the whole team running to Messi when they won. I mean, like I told you, I'm not a fan of players, but I just get emotional when I think about it, because it was such a strong moment, such a beautiful moment.
Yeah, I
And
mean, in
yeah,
context of what it means for Messi's career, he's been in our lives for 16, 17 years. And that's a long time for players to be on our radar and in our lives in this way. And, it's this weird cathartic experience to vicariously live through a player because obviously, I mean, man, if I could make what Messi makes in an hour in my entire lifetime, my whole life
you're
would
good.
change, right? If I could have the sense of purpose and the sense of victory, the sense of accomplishment that Messi has in the month of September every year, in the month of October, that not only for me but for other professional footballers, how many times in his career has he scored a goal that I say, that's going to be forgotten by next week when he has a brace against somebody else, but that's the greatest goal that most players that he plays with will ever score in their lives. And he does that week by week by week. I wish there was one thing in my life that I was as good at as he is at football. But the culmination of all the failures is what makes it. I mean, it's the same thing about love. That love lost is better to have had love than to completely destroy a cliche quote like I just did. So, right? And immediately it's interesting because Twitter, you and I are both there, and in social media, it's such a destructive place. But the collective euphoria from everyone to enjoy that victory, that celebration together, was. It sounds so cliche and stupid, but it's not. That it's important to recognize our humanity. I mean, time is limited, and not even our lives. I'm not even talking about life and death, but I actually mean Messi's footballing life. That an athlete dies twice. Like I have enough cliches to really fill up this whole pod, but
And I heard that one.
an athlete dies twice, and so Messi, yes, at the end of his life, it's when he's looking back on all his playing accomplishments, sure. But when his playing career is over,
Right.
it's over. And so we're seeing him in the twilight already. Even if he goes to 2022 World Cup in Qatar, this is the twilight we're already seeing. He's 34 years old, for goodness sake. And so there's not much time left. So taking in his life and celebrating him as he's here in front of us, and then obviously celebrating him for the rest of his actual life and actual days. Now, I want to take it in the worst direction possible here before we talk England, Italy. The Ballon d'Or debate. I don't know. You and I are probably on different parts of Twitter. I don't think anyone who's not a troll is egregiously ignorant enough to possibly throw out another name from this past year. I mean, Lewandowski, Kylian Mbappe, De Bruyne, N'Golo Kante, Harry Kane. I don't have any other names, right? I mean, there might be other names, but once someone said Jorginho was a candidate, it's over. Messi wins the Ballon d'Or, right? Someone threw that into the universe. You have to give him his seventh Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, I think the problem with the Ballon d'Or, first of all, there's going to be recency bias. So what is going to happen between now and the vote? When is the vote? December, January,
They may actually vote in
November?
October. I think they vote in October and announce in December or something.
The other thing, the Ballon d'Or is so ridiculous that they vote on a calendar year where you should just vote for a season.
Yeah, of
Like
course.
what other MVP award crosses 2 seasons?
Right.
Like
It should be the
it's
like second week of August. Like the minute the
yeah,
World Cup or whatever it is ends. Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you look at this season, basically, if you look at every year since Messi has played, the only season he would not get the Ballon d'Or is the 2013-14 season
Mhm.
when he was getting a bit chubby and a bit slow, and he was not entirely motivated.
Oh, he had that hamstring tear that
It's
kept him
yeah,
out for like 4 months.
oh yeah, and the hamstring tear, sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with that. And then he ate a little bit while he was bedridden. Yeah.
Yeah. So and it's normal because you cannot like it's incredible how long this guy has been motivated to be the best that he could be. It's that is the biggest accomplishment. Um, well, apart from being the best in the world, but apart from the 2013-14 season, he should have gotten every Ballon d'Or because he is easily the best footballer in the world. And if you say the Ballon d'Or should go to the best footballer, then you give it to Messi, except for 2013-14. Now, if you say, okay, it has to go to a winning team, yeah, there are no clear candidates this year because there's no winning team where that really have a player who has stood out on that team.